Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Taylor Sheridan's new action movie with 1923 star would be more exciting if it was ending a 4-year streak. I'm excited that Taylor Sheridan is collaborating with 1923 star Brandon Sklenar for a movie called Fast, but I'm disappointed with one detail about the project. Sheridan started in Hollywood as an actor before realizing that he preferred working behind the scenes. This led to him writing several movies from 2011 onwards, and even directing a few. Taylor Sheridan wrote acclaimed movies like Sicario, Hell or High Water, and Wind River, also directing the latter. However, he is perhaps best known for creating the Yellowstone franchise, which consists of many shows. Taylor Sheridan's best shows include Yellowstone and its spin-offs, 1883 and 1923, as well as series like Tulsa King and Mayor of Kingstown. All of these series have been massively successful and have helped to turn Sheridan into one of the most acclaimed writers in Hollywood. While he mostly focuses on TV shows nowadays, Sheridan will produce the upcoming movie Fast, which is based on a script that he wrote. This is exciting, but I wish Sheridan was directing Fast rather than just producing it. Fast is not a new project for Sheridan, as he wrote the script for the action movie in the mid-2010s. He was actually once attached to direct the film, and Chris Pratt was cast in the lead role. This would have been an exciting team-up, but the project never gained much momentum at Warner Bros., since its $70 million budget was on the higher side. After being stuck in development hell for years, it was announced that Sheridan would no longer direct Fast in 2019, with the accountant director Gavin O'Connor set to replace him. Obviously, the project still didn't move forward with O'Connor on board. Therefore, in the last few years, it wouldn't have been unreasonable to assume that the project was officially dead. However, it has now been announced that Fast has been put on the fast track by Warner Bros. And has been given an April 23, 2027 release date. This recent update means that production on Fast will begin very soon. The action movie will now be directed by Ben Richardson, who has helmed several episodes of 1923. Since he has worked with Sheridan before, it's not surprising that Richardson will make his feature film debut with Fast. I'm sure Richardson is a great choice to direct the action movie, but I can't help but be disappointed that Sheridan has chosen not to helm the project. Sheridan has only directed 3 movies in his career, which is surprising since he is now such a popular name in the industry. Throughout his career, Sheridan has directed 2011's Vile, 2017's Wind River, and 2021's Those Who Wish Me Dead. While not all of his directorial efforts have received outstanding reviews, it is clear that Sheridan is a skilled filmmaker. This is especially evident with Wind River, which has an impressive 87% on Rotten Tomatoes, via Rotten Tomatoes. It is clear that Sheridan is very busy with his growing library of shows, but it's still disappointing that he hasn't directed a film since 2021. Hopefully Sheridan will return to the director's chair sooner rather than later. According to the synopsis for Fast, Sklenar's character will be a former Special Forces commando who is tasked with leading a strike team to take down CIA-protected drug dealers in his town. Based on this brief description, it sounds like Fast could be a thrilling action movie. However, I would be much more excited about the project if Sheridan was attached as a director. This isn't to say that Richardson won't do a great job, but I desperately want to see Sheridan direct another film. As a writer and producer, I'm sure Sheridan will still have a lot of influence over the project. Additionally, since it is Richardson's first feature film, Sheridan will likely help him a lot during filming. This is a good thing, but it's obviously still different from Sheridan. Sheridan is no stranger to gripping, character-driven drama. With titles like Hell or High Water, Sicario, and the expanding Yellowstone universe under his belt, his reputation as a powerhouse of modern Western storytelling is cemented. So when news breaks that he's teaming up with a star from 1923, a spin-off from his sprawling Yellowstone franchise, for a brand new action movie, it's naturally cause for excitement. But the real kicker? This new film could have been even more thrilling if it marked the end of a persistent 4-year cold streak for Sheridan in a specific cinematic domain, the big screen blockbuster. It's not that Sheridan hasn't been busy, quite the opposite. Since 2018's Yellowstone took root on television, he's become Paramount's golden goose, responsible for an entire ecosystem of frontier sagas. From 1883 to 1923 and more spin-offs on the way, Sheridan has built a television empire. But his presence in theatrical cinema has been notably quieter. The last Sheridan-written film to make waves in theaters was Those Who Wish Me Dead in 2021, a smaller-scale Angelina Jolie-led thriller that, while brimming with tension, didn't land with the same critical or box office impact as his earlier work. So imagine this. Taylor Sheridan steps out of the high plains of prestige television and re-enters the high-stakes arena of the cinema with a pulse-pounding action film. And he brings a 1923 cast member with him, possibly someone like Brandon Sklenar or Julia Schläpfer, whose performances in the series added grit and gravity. Now we're not just watching a movie, we're witnessing a potential renaissance. This hypothetical movie could be a return to Sheridan's roots: sparse dialogue, morally gray protagonists, and wide-open spaces hiding danger at every turn. It could be a modern Western reimagined as an international manhunt or a heist thriller disguised as a border drama. But what makes it uniquely exciting is not just what it is, but what it ends. Since 2021, Sheridan has remained grounded in TV. While his creative energy hasn't slowed down, he's penned seasons, built new characters, and overseen multiple productions. His silver screen muscle hasn't been flexed in years. That 4-year theatrical drought is significant, especially for someone who proved, with Sicario and Wind River, that there's still room in Hollywood for grown-up thrillers with edge and intelligence. Ending that streak with a bang, not a whimper, would feel like a creative reawakening. Sheridan's transition into television dominance has been impressive, but there's always a question lurking beneath the surface. Can he bring the same raw power to the big screen after years away? A new action film, infused with his trademark tension and starring someone fresh from 1923's world of intergenerational violence and survival, would be the perfect test. Imagine the possibilities. Let's say the movie stars Brandon Sklenar, whose portrayal of Spencer Dutton in 1923 was a blend of World War I trauma, quiet rage, and reluctant heroism. In Sheridan's hands, that kind of character could be recontextualized into a modern soldier of fortune or a former operative pulled back into a conflict he tried to escape. Sheridan loves characters on the edge, on the verge of losing control or regaining their sense of justice. Sklenar could shine in that mold, delivering a performance that bridges his 1923 legacy with a grittier, more contemporary story. Or maybe Sheridan surprises us by centering the action movie around Julia Schläpfer's Alexandra, now reimagined in a new role. A woman caught in a web of international corruption, forced to become her own protector. Sheridan has shown a knack for writing strong, complex women: Sicario's Kate Macer, Those Who Wish Me Dead's Hannah, and a feature film anchored by one could be both a fresh perspective and a thrilling gamble. What makes this concept even more exciting is the timing. Audiences today are hungry for action films that do more than just explode. The success of John Wick, Extraction, and even genre-bending hybrids, like The Creator, shows that there's a market for high-stakes action anchored by character and vision. Sheridan, with his literary sensibility and no-frills grit, is uniquely poised to bring something to the table that doesn't feel manufactured or safe. And then there's the symbolic weight. Ending a 4-year absence from theaters would be more than just a new movie. It would signal a reclaiming of space. Sheridan, who began his rise in cinema, would be returning not just as a screenwriter or director, but as a force of nature who refuses to be pigeonholed. Television may have kept him visible, but cinema could re-establish him as a filmmaker in the classical sense, one who belongs on the largest screens, telling the biggest, boldest stories.